Welcome back, everyone, to the LA Angels franchise. Last time I saw you, ALCS did not go as planned against those Minnesota Twins, and our offseason got started just a little bit early. So we are looking at our next manager as Ron Washington has decided to retire. And honestly, I'm looking at Mark Kotsay. We're going to give him an offer here for 5 seasons. He's been in the AL West for quite some time. The resume doesn't really speak for itself because he's had some bad seasons with Oakland, but we feel like he's a player manager, kind of like Ron Washington, and we'll go ahead and give him an offer. I could have went after Dave Roberts, but they just won the World Series, and now he's out there as a free agent manager, and it just didn't make a lot of sense that he'd come over here to the Angels across town. So, you know, it would have been kind of a cool storyline, but I kind of like the idea of Mark Kotsay getting a shot here at taking over this Angels team. So guys, now we are headed into the next phase here, which is exclusive free agents. And as you know, I do like to do these wheel spins just so it takes me completely out of the equation. I want the player to have sort of a choice in the matter, right? So the guys that I wanted to bring back, I put them on a wheel spin. Trevor Rogers, Griffin Canning, Suarez, Verdugo, and really whatever their decision was, if they wanted to test free agency or if they were ready to discuss contract with us, those were the two options. So guys like Verdugo, guys like Canning, guys like Suarez, they did not want to entertain coming back here into the Angels organization, but Trevor Rogers did. So we moved him from a reliever to a starter. He actually gained some overall points. He's now an 88 overall player. And the rest of everybody else here, like Kyle Farmer, Robert Stevenson, I think that we can move on. Tyler Rogers, excuse me. There is a Taylor and Tyler. But yeah, so Hunter Harvey, I kind of got thinking a little bit differently about him just because we weren't able to get Griffin Canning in here. We could have moved still Seth to the bullpen and kept Canning in the rotation. So Hunter Harvey is a piece that I like, and we'll go ahead now and offer him a contract since he did decide to open those negotiations up with us. And so the only two guys that we are bringing back here from this exclusive free agent list is Trevor Rogers and Hunter Harvey. So you can see up on the screen, you've got our managers all set up. We addressed the hitting coach spot and the farm director as well, and there we go. Also, arbitration, same deal. We want to know, are we signing someone up for arbitration, or does the organization want to bring these guys back for a long-term deal, avoiding arbitration? Some people would, again, argue that arbitration saves you money. Yes, it does, but in the long term, it might actually help you when guys actually have some really good seasons. They progress nicely. They're asking for more money now because it is based on overall rating, right? So some of these guys, you know, organizationally, like look at the Tigers offering Colt Keith this huge contract, avoiding any arbitration years, taking them completely out of the equation. So some teams do this. They go about arbitration in that way, and that's exactly what we're going to do here with some of our guys up here, like Jose Soriano and Braxton Garrett. So did they want arbitration? Did they want to consider that, or did they want to consider a more long-term deal? And you can see in the bottom right-hand corner the salary guide. I'm really kind of looking at that. So arbitration years would be 1 to 2 for Garrett, but 3+, anything after 3 years, they're free agent eligible. So I'm extending this offer past the arbitration years. That would be considered the long-term contract. So we're going to offer that up to Soriano and Braxton Garrett. I like Garrett because he is kind of a flex guy. He can start for you. He can be a long relief man. Can even be put in the middle relief rotation spot. And then Nate Pearson, kind of had to make a decision there if I wanted to bring him in or not. But he's a decent overall rating. I was approached by the Blue Jays to go get Nate Pearson. And I was like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll offer that up. It's a little minor league player. I think it was like D potential or something. He'd never make it. Yeah, give me the proven relief pitcher, right? So Nate Pearson, we wheel spin this up. He will want arbitration instead of a long-term deal. I kind of just want to see, regarding arbitration, what's he expecting, right? So it looks like about 1.3, and we'll just go ahead and just kind of go a little bit further than that and say 1.4. So we'll offer up arbitration there. And then, of course, Sung-Chae Cheng, we will go ahead and take a look at what he wants here, about $2 million per season, but I know that he was going to be arbitration eligible, and yeah, we'll do the $880,000. And then, of course, for Horwitz, we needed to do a long-term deal, and he wants a 5-year contract. So that would basically put him to be 34 years old by the time his contract is over. And he's been a pretty good player for us. He's not really panned out as much as I thought that he would here with a C potential. I thought he would really kind of take on some growth into the role as the starting first baseman. Of course, Shawnuel is your regular DH. I keep doing like the training, the player training inside the franchise to get his fielding numbers up so he could actually play some good first base, some solid corner there. But yeah, Spencer Horwitz is just a lot better defensively. So we'll see how he does there in spring training. I know we got Evan White kind of right behind him there, vying for a chance. So free agent list, a lot of good players, man. A lot of good players that could really help us out. I mean, just go down the list. You got Brian Abreu, Dustin May, Rosarena might be able to help us out here. But this is going into season number 4, guys, and he's definitely a lot older. Verdugo, would have been really nice to keep him in here. We gave up a little bit to go get him. And then Tarek Skubal, 30 years old, looking for a 5-year contract. We might go a little bit further than that, but that's how much money he wants. You got Peralta up there looking for a 5-year deal. And both guys are interested enough in us that it could happen. Jesus Luzardo, 29 years old. He's had some decent seasons, right? So he might be an option. But we've got a few left-handers. Rogers, Detmers, Braxton Garrett. And honestly, the bullpen might be the one place that we need to focus the most on. Like really bolstering that bullpen up. And looking at the relievers here, and Jojo Romero kind of speaking to me here. The Giants have an interest in him. And of course, if the Giants want an interest in a pitcher, I probably want to go that way too. They've had some good pitchers in their organizational history this last decade, right? So I kind of like the idea of trying to snag somebody away from them. But taking a look at our infield, second base, third base, shortstop, outfielders even. Thomas Woodson was one of our draft picks here in season number 1. He was part of that really good class, and he's progressing nicely, but I don't know if he's quite ready defensively yet to even come up here. Because, of course, you got Shawnuel, you've got Woodson, that would be DHs. You got this guy, Joaquin Marrero, that we just drafted in the last draft class. He's an 81 overall. Plus, we got Jerome Morris as a catcher. He's at an 83. So I'm kind of looking around and I'm like, we need, instead of kind of doing these nickel and dime type of moves, we need to actually make a splash. And, you know, this is not necessarily a splash move because Adolis Garcia is 34 years old at this point. He wants a longer term deal. You can see like I'm moving it down ever so slightly. We were at 4, then we moved it to 2, and there wasn't a lot of interest from Adolis, but dude, you're going to be like 37 years old on a 3-year deal. So we'll offer a 2-year contract with more money up front, and hopefully Adolis Garcia is the player that we know he used to be, right? We've got a little bit more power in our lineup here if Adolis can sign up here, but we got Skubal looking at about close to a $30 million contract, and currently we are in first place for Skubal. However, he does not want to sign with us because he ends up signing with our AL West rival, the Houston Astros. So that was kind of a blow. But we do nab Adolis Garcia. Hit 30 home runs last season, drove an 82 for the Texas Rangers. So that's a good bat to get, especially if the Rangers did want to bring him back through free agency. We can kind of nab him away and steal him away from those Texas Rangers, those silly little Texas Rangers out there. Of course, we are competing against those guys, right? So it was a good ad. I think it adds to our lineup. It's not the biggest splash in the world. I really would have liked to have both of them, Skubal and Garcia, and that would have really sent our offseason over the top, I feel like. But it just didn't pan out. You got Ha-Seong Kim there for the Brewers. You got Freddie Peralta signing up with the Cubs, Jazz Chisholm, Pete Fairbanks. Suarez is now gone to the White Sox. That's a good signing for them. He's had some good years over here. Alejandro Kirk, now a San Diego Padre. So some decent names across the free agent list there. Of course, Jazz Chisholm. Of course, I think he signed with the Mariners, if I'm remembering that screenshot right. But now it's just about trying to fill out depth pieces, minor league options, right? Guys that we might want to consider for a 40-man roster piece, like AJ Alexi. He's got a decent overall right there. C potential, not really expecting too much. Yu Chang. Kind of cool to bring someone for Chinese Taipei, right? He was a World Baseball Classic guy. So he's 31 years old now, hit 301 and 73 at-bats. Just more of a guy that, again, kind of a minor league option. But it also depends on how well he plays in spring training. He could end up winning a backup job because I'm really not completely sold. I like Sean Fuentes. He's been playing a couple seasons with us now, but I'm really not sold on his progression right now. He's 75C. I kind of want to see if we have other options there, especially with Elvis Martinez. He's on the come up with a B potential at third base. But here we are in Rule 5, and I'm also looking at some more depth for our starting pitching, maybe even a flex guy that could be a starter or a reliever. I just like those players. And the one guy that's really speaking to me here is Jackson Rutledge. He's got that funky looking delivery, and we're going to see some action with him here in spring training action. So I was looking at Dylan Coleman, then I was looking at Jackson Rutledge, and I kind of favored Rutledge just a little bit more than Coleman, and I think it was a good ad. So let's get into spring training. We always play the Kansas City Royals here in spring training game number 1. Caden Dana on the mound, really kind of hoping for his next step here. I've seen him in spring training in real life, and he looks like he's pretty darn good. He could be the next Noah Syndergaard. I know he hates that comparison. He's said as much in interviews, but you know, he's got that feel. So I'm really hoping that he takes the next step in the minor leagues and he could become somebody here for us in this franchise series. But so far, top 2. First inning was clean, but Freddie Fermin gets a base hit here. We got 0-2 pitch now to Michael Massey, and that's a diving Spencer Horwitz. Cannot make the play. Run will score. It is 1-0 Kansas City with runners on base here. We've got the next batter up. That's Joey Loper-Fido, former Houston Astro prospect, big prospect there, going to strike out. And next we've got Pavin Smith, line drive, fly ball actually out there to Christian Yelich, and he makes the catch. So we'll jump ahead here to Jackson Rutledge's appearance. Top of the 4th, he's going to get a strikeout there on Pasquantino. That's a good batter to go get. Got the little circle change action going. There's that little funky little 3/4, maybe a little sidearm delivery. He's going to get another strikeout there. For strikeout number 2. So let's go now to the top of the 4th. We got a man on base here in Adolis Garcia. 0 for 1 today. I would have really liked to show you his first at bat, but it was an out, so why show it? But he does get a knock here in his second AB as an LA Angel. Deep drive out there for Evan White. Still kind of vying for the backup first base job. Honestly, I'm going to open it up. I think Horwitz has had some good seasons, but last year the numbers were a little bit lacking, so I'm going to open up the competition there for backup first base behind Shawnowell. Also because Evan White was really good down in the minor leagues last year too. So Connor Overton, he was one of our minor league additions in free agency, so I want to see what he's got a little bit. Again, vying for another little bullpen spot. We've at least got 1 or 2 of those available. I can tell you that right now. But a base hit here for Smith, and then next batter up is Jonathan India. All the way to the wall, in the corner. We've got some substitutes in the game now. Evan White's still out there in the 5th. Adams, nice throw back in to the cutoff man to prevent the run from scoring. Deep drive by Drew Waters to Sean Knowles out there in center, and he got a little bit of a late break on that baseball, and that's going to drop. He was there, he could have made the catch, but it just dropped out of his glove, and that's not good. That's how you get cut. He'll still be on the 40-man roster. He can't just destroy a guy for one mistake. But, you know, it's little things like that where I'm not going to allow you to get on the 26-man if you're going to act like that out there in the outfield. We need those outs. So top of the 5th, still, or Elvis Martinez will make this catch after the run does score, thanks to the error. Would have had that fly ball. Would have been an inning ender right there. Fly ball to Adams, fly ball to Knowles. 2 outs right there. Except we only got 1. Hurts. Jojo Romero, first pitch of spring training. Got a ground out there. First out. 0-1 pitch here to Pavin Smith, another left-hander, and we've got Martinez bobbling it. Makes the nice throw back over to first base. White able to kind of dig it out there. And then the next batter up is Kyle Isbell. That will be a line drive base hit right in front of Adams. Firing that back into first base, and maybe he was running a little slow. Thought that he could have had him, and here is Chavez, Geraldo Chavez. Nice play there. Little off-balance throw, and he's going to strike out. So Chavez, nice play defensively with the glove, but not nice of a play with the bat, right? We need some runners. We need guys on base. However, look at this. That was strike 3. Michael Massey then turns this into a deep drive to left field, but Luis Paniagua, look at the speed, man. He's got some big legs. He can run. He's short. He's stocky. He doesn't seem like he can run fast, but he's actually pretty darn quick. So I like Luis Paniagua. He was also one of our draft picks from a couple seasons ago. So now let's go to the top of the ninth. We've got Tom Seau. This guy was one of these pitchers that I wanted in the draft a couple seasons ago. So now we get first action that we've seen him in gameplay. And Jefferson Caro delivers a RBI double after the Deshaun Knowles walk. So that's really helpful here. 3-1 now. Seau, base hit given up to Jordan Adams. That's going to find the gap. Another double. Back-to-back RBI doubles for the Angels. The tying run is at second. The winning run is up to the dish. So they'll make a change here. Seau could not clutch up and lock us down. We got a ground ball here. Deep throw in the hole, and Evan White is safe. I think he may have been safe had the first baseman not been pulled off the bag. Let's take one more look here. It's an incredible play. Jeter. But yeah, I think he was safe anyway, no matter what. But we do have a ground ball here. Second baseman makes a nice play over here. And back over to first, not in time. Kyron Paris a little too speedy, but they do get one out, and we're still in a double play situation here. So we need something in the air. We do get it. It's a line drive to center field, but the play is not going to be made. Runner will score. It is now 3-3 thanks to Geraldo Chavez. He struck out in the previous at-bat, but not there. Put the ball in play. You love to see it, and now we have a chance to win. Deep drive by Martinez. That should get the run home. We got a little bit of a late break for both runners. We don't even need to send Chavez from second to third. That would have been disastrous. Get the final out at third base so the run doesn't score. Unbelievable. So we got to work on that. Some things in spring training that were a little bit rusty, but I love that right there. Little pose at the end for all of your guys out here from the dugout. Showing Elvis Martinez some love. That's got to help him with the confidence level. Love to see it. So Victor Medeiros with the win. He wasn't too bad there in his relief performance. So here's a little update, guys. We got 235 for Ohapi, 269 for Adolis. Not very good numbers there from Spencer Horwitz. Chang's batting pretty well, but Neto, Fuentes, 180 for Fuentes. My goodness, he's really struggling. I think the pressure's starting to get to him a little bit here. But Woodson is 8 for 16. He's batting .500. That's crazy, right? I like to see that. Thomas Woodson going off. He's really trying to shoot for a backup job. And I mean, he can hit. That's the thing with Thomas Woodson. You see his numbers there. He's got some good vision, some good contact numbers. But I think that the thing is like, Shonwell is going to be almost like a 140 game player. Where does Woodson fit into that? He's just going to play first base sometimes. His defense is terrible. He's going to cost us runs, especially when you get low throws from Fuentes or Neto or from Chang. Anywhere in the infield, you get low throws, you got to be able to scoop it. So I don't know if Woodson's able to do that. I'm not even sure he's able to play third base with those defensive numbers. But he's mostly a DH. So, it could end up being where Spencer Horwitz loses a job. You get Shonwell to finally be that everyday first baseman, and maybe Woodson is your designated hitter. That's also an option to consider. So we do make some pitching staff changes, some rotation changes. Woodson's still batting really well, 316. Caro's batting 333. Jordan Adams really is turned on the Jets here at 290, 323 for Evan White. Nico Hulsheiser in 35 at-bats, over 300. Trout, he's hitting 440. Taylor Ward's been fine. Chang has been good at 325. Adolis not so good, man. 179. Then you got Neto picking it up there, 372. Paniagua. We got Fuentes at 210. Yeah, so there's some guys that lost jobs. There's some guys that played really well, but there's just no room. But it's just nice to see that they actually performed and they took it seriously, right? So just something to consider when we get into September call-ups or we have an injury or something. So this is just a good sample to see who's got it and who doesn't, right? For the pitching staff and the bullpen, I think the starting five is pretty set. I wasn't really concerned with that whatsoever. It was just mostly like, what are the roles going to be? Middle relief, long relief, who's going to be your number 5 starter, right? But looking at your 40-man roster now, actually your 26-man roster, I just didn't think that Medeiros did enough. Rosenberg in 13 1/3, not as much of a sample size that I think would warrant a job. Plus their overall rating is just a little bit too low. For most teams, they might be up on the big league club as a reliever or something, but we've got a pretty good staff as it is right now. Rogers, Detmers, Braxton Garrett's in there as well, Silseth. So we're pretty set with the rotation. Cheney would have been a guy too. For most teams, he would be called up at a 73C. Like, that's a little harsh that he's got to get called down, but you've also got Caro as our backup. You got Ohapi as our main guy at catcher. Jerome Morris. Most people, I'm sure, here in this comment section are going to be like, dude, he needs to be called up now. But he was just drafted. I want to see what he's going to do in gameplay. Once we start getting to sim a little bit, I want to see him in sim to see how he performs. And if he does warrant the call-up, then we might have to consider it. Jefferson Caro might be losing his job as the backup catcher. So we do call down a couple guys here through the lineup, through the positions here. But Kyron Paris, this is a really tough call. I don't want to lose Kyron Paris to waivers. Fuentes does have options, but he's had a bad spring. He's had a bad spring, but he's been good. He's been solid. He's been a solid little player for us in the regular season since he came up as a rookie 2 years ago. So Fuentes is on my crap list, honestly. I just don't think with his C potential he's going to move up enough. And it's a tough call, but I don't want to lose Kyron Paris to waivers. Someone's going to add him. Either for minor league depth or for major league depth, they're going to add him. So I'm going to move down Sean Fuentes. That was a very tough thing for me to do. I'm also considering Hulsheiser's power. He actually was pretty decent with us a year ago. Last season, in year 3, he spent most of his time in the minor leagues, but year 2, he was a Rule 5 guy, so I couldn't move him down anyway. But he was pretty good. So Jordan Adams, I've got no problem there with the overall rating and the potential rating. I don't think anybody's going to scoop him up. Deshaun Knowles has an option, so I'm good with that. But then we head over here to first base, and we got Spencer Horwitz with one more option left. And you can see his numbers. He's had some off and on type of seasons, but look at his fielding numbers. He's been pretty good. And honestly, Sean Noel has done a better job at progressing as a fielder. So this might be the move just to save Evan White as well. He's got some decent numbers for hitting as well. That might be the move there. So we'll put Hulsheiser down, kind of see where we're at right here. Marrero's down. I think the move was Spencer Horwitz going down to AAA. You know, as much as it hurts me, it's a couple of those guys like Fuentes and Horwitz, guys that have been kind of mainstays here for a little while. We're going to leave Yu Chang up here as well. He's a decent backup. So, yeah, I mean, you could have said Fuentes for Chang, but I kind of like the idea of Yu Chang in an Angels uniform. I don't know. It's interesting. So we'll see how it all pans out. I like the way our team is shaping up. Again, I feel like this has been more of a realistic, slow type of approach to building this team into a top 10 overall unit. So I'm excited about the prospects here for Season 4. Prospects meaning our chances, not necessarily our players. But I am excited about our players. Marrero, Woodson, Paniagua, Jerome Morris, our catcher. So we've got dudes. So I'm excited about the future for this Angels series, and I'm excited about Season 4. We get the Milwaukee Brewers coming up and Patrick Sandoval. So he's returning to the Big A to take us on here in opening day. So I hope that we can get to him. Otherwise, he's going to make us look really silly for getting rid of him. Although I do think that Christian Yelich was a necessary addition to the team for that offense to get clicking into high gear last season. So we'll see how it all pans out this year. Did we make the right moves? Have we been building appropriately? Or are we going to really feel it this year for not hitting on some big free agents and some big trades? So guys, I'll see you in the next one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and peace.